cult horror movies of the 80s. Next in line is Rest in Pieces from 1987, directed by Jose Ramon Larraz. Helen and her beau have just inherited Helen's old aunt's mansion, along with millions in cash. But the cash is not in a bank account, it's hidden somewhere within the mansion, which in turn is apparently haunted by the pissed off spirit of old Auntie, whom is holding a grudge against Helen's mom, of which Helen is the spitting image. Oh, and the servants of the mansion, who are conspiring against the young couple, refuse to leave and are part of an unnatural covenant of sorts, are also in the mix. Director Larraz is known for other cult horror titles, mostly Spanish ones, such as Vampires from '74, Symptoms from '74, and Edge of the Axe from '88, and that one I may do a review on shortly. He started out as a comic writer and created the series Paul Foran, an action comic from the '70s. He also had a Doctor of Philosophy degree. Interesting. Now on to the bad. Parts of the movie have really bad sound editing. I mean, it's fairly bad in general, but some scenes, like the sacrificial string quartet scene, it's so bad it earned laughter from yours truly. Also, I would have liked more gore and kills, not that there aren't enough kills necessarily, and not that there isn't any gore, but it tends to be, a bit few and far between for something like this. It could have used a bit more. The supernatural elements, while present, are somewhat underplayed. And lastly, that opening with the photo stills that looks like the start of a bad early 90s 3DO game does not exactly instill confidence in the film that you're about to watch. And now for the good. The movie is watchable, and despite the bargain bin opening, it has a nice atmosphere and a decent ending climax. I can appreciate the European feel, the European vibe, if you will, that Larraz brings to the table on this. It tends to inflect a level of artistry and atmosphere that does help movies like this out. There's a number of surreal images and shots in here that are done pretty well, that look pretty nice, that do convey that sense of, dreaminess and off-kilter reality that, adds to the experience of watching something like this. The sect that the tenants have formed and the suicide pact and resurrection bit with the matriarch, all of that make for a more interesting plot than most flicks of this ilk tend to have. It's actually a pretty interesting backstory with, what these tenants are trying to do and how they went about it with the suicide pact and all. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's a little bit more complex than what you usually find in films of this sort. And it does boost it up a notch in my book as far as quality and watchability. Again, it's not quite enough to completely pave over the bad stuff, but yeah, it's good enough. I give it 3 out of 5 cadavers for the verdict, and that's it. Good enough for me.